Good morning. It is Thursday, March 27th, 9:01 a.m. This is Live with Frankie. Beautiful weather. Love when it has been a yes. There we go. It has been a gloomy day today. It's been raining nonstop. Much needed rain. I was debating whether I should start with the weather, but once I get myself in the studio, what I plan to do, as I've been stating before previously, was I want to put a big green screen and I want to do the weather. I personally, I love gloomy days. I love when it's dark. I love when it's raining. And I know there are um, people out there, especially females, that like to wear their rain boots. So I always welcome this type of weather. Um, we do anticipate to have rain for the majority of the day, and also tomorrow. Lots been going on as of late in the city of Brownsville. And again, before we start, I do want to remind y'all, if you haven't already, make sure you like the page. We're currently on Facebook under Frankie Olivo. Click the follow button. Share the feed. If you're watching on YouTube, a lot of people prefer to watch on YouTube because it does give people anonymity. You can create a profile and you can comment. You can throw indirect jabs at me if you'd like. But also make sure you also subscribe on YouTube. We're trying our best to monetize and to grow big, um, little by little. But again, none of this would be possible without each and every one of y'all's help. So if you can, a simple like, a simple comment, a simple share, following the page. So make sure you follow the Facebook page, Frankie Olivo, and the YouTube page. Subscribe to YouTube if you would be so kind. Hey, I'm wearing my rain boots. I have them in my trunk actually. I need to get some long ones because the ones that I have are kind of like ankle high, and they get wet. Or yeah, they get wet because of the splish and splash. I got them at Academy for like $20 to $30, but I want to get some a little better quality. I think they're Magellan, but I want to get the longer ones and a little uh, better quality if I'm able to. But we'll see. Nonetheless, personally, like I've stated, I love this weather. We'll see. We'll see how. Um, the crazy thing about Brownsville is that a little bit of rain kind of throws everything away, like puts us in a disarray. I always make fun of us Mexicans because us Mexicans, we can't drive when it's perfect weather, when it's sunny. But it seems as if there's always it's always chaotic whenever it rains. Um, people can't drive, and instead of being cautious, everybody wants to drive very fast. How can Brownsville be poor when Frankie is buying expensive boots? There's a place growing up. Speaking of boots, and I know we're talking about rain boots. I have a pair of rain boots which I do need to upgrade and get another pair. But speaking of boots, if you want to talk about boots, recently, for Charo days, I was contemplating of buying some ostrich boots. Growing up, I had some. I don't know, typical Mexican. I had this thing about botas de avestruz. I always thought that was so cool. Um, I did see people with alligator boots, snake boots, of course. Who can forget the Mexican snake boots? But growing up, I always wanted to wear botas de avestruz con el cinto plateado because the white to me is, I don't know, it's sexy. It white and black to me are one of my favorite colors. Blue, of course, is also, but if you wear white, it's kind of like, man, it looks nice. But speaking of boots, Cabrera, um, I was contemplating of whether I should go to Harlingen. There's this boot shop in Harlingen. I forget the name of it, and I do apologize. Um, that they have some ostrich boots, and I think they were going for like either 185 or 285. But yeah, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them and just wear them here around the house. Um, see how that goes. Today we're set to talk about the state of the city of Brownsville. Yesterday, Mayor Cowan addressed the city in regards to the previous year. He talked about how the city has been doing great things, and I hate when politicians say that. Oh, great things are happening in our entity. I really hate when they say that because it's kind of like, come up with something clever. I do want to start off by saying, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for it, but I really didn't hear nothing sexy, nothing to where we're like, wow, like we have a lot to look forward to. It was the same old same things, very important issues. Safety was not really addressed. For us that are aware, we have a lack of manpower here in the city of Brownsville in regards to police officers, lack of ambulances. That's one thing that I didn't hear the mayor talk about. He did talk about other things. The commissioners came on recorded segments, I guess you could say, and they did discuss the little pet projects of what they were doing, but nothing really that stood out. Nothing like, man, Brownsville's popping, Brownsville's booming. So that's one thing. That's one thing that I didn't see. Also, yesterday we did make because of Lozano, we did get information that there was going to be a protest against LNG and SpaceX, and the protest happened right outside the TSC auditorium. There was a small crowd of individuals that were present. I unfortunately wasn't able to go, but nonetheless, they did have security out there. But God.
Are under attack. What do we do? The colonizer continues to come in.
I'll let you listen to it for just a bit before I continue.
Politicians are not really politicians. They're not even business people.
Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Hey, the city has continued to fail us, and the city is endangering us directly, endangering our children.
So they did have their little crowd out there, which is always good. What amazes me is that they're calling out. If you saw the signs, they were calling out Mayor Cowan. They're calling him a coward. But as we see, whenever an individual invests millions, if not billions, of dollars, they pretty much could get away with anything, so to speak. So there was a protest outside of the state of the city, outside of TSC. So it was good to see people being vocal, protesting. and letting their elected officials know that they aren't satisfied. They aren't satisfied either with their current representation or the direction that the city is going. Yesterday, we did speak about SpaceX and how SpaceX has made over a $3 billion investment, and they're going to continue to grow and invest. They're not going nowhere. SpaceX, Elon Musk is here for the long haul. I did speak yesterday with a friend. I did stop by her office. She has been in downtown Brownsville for, I want to say, 50, 60 years. And it's always good talking to individuals that have lived their lives in downtown Brownsville. And we're going to talk about a little bit about what we spoke about momentarily. But what she said was, I wish Elon would buy all of Brownsville. And it kind of got me thinking. I was like, man, what would have happened if the world's richest man bought Brownsville? We see how he made the investment in BISD, where he gave the district and other school districts in the Rio Grande Valley. BISD, I think he allocated $10 million. What exactly happened to that money? That's still up for debate. But I pose to you the question, what would happen if Elon Musk were to buy Brownsville? I think he got a taste of how the politicians work here on our border city. And he thought, you know what? Why am I gonna cater to these politicians when I can just cater to my own? So what we've seen has been that he's going to incorporate his own city. He's going to make his own politicians. They're going to have their own police, their own hospital, their own form of government. So essentially, instead of buying Brownsville, he's building his own city, which is going to be a star base. The white ones are hueso or bone color. The botas de avestruz, yeah. I don't know. Growing up, I don't know why. More of a backseat mayor, in my opinion. Wow. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because the city of Brownsville is in disarray, in my opinion. Right now, currently, the way I see it, and going back to my discussion with my friend, right now, there's not much going on in the city of Brownsville. Yes, you could talk about the city commissioner's pet projects. We can talk about downtown, and look, before I start, I understand that every city, we do need an identity, so to speak. When we look at cities like New Orleans, Austin, their downtown is thriving. When we think about New Orleans, Bourbon Street, everybody wants to go downtown because that's where the Wato is at. It's all about downtown. We have seen how entities such as GBIC, BCIC have been giving grants and monies to entrepreneurs. And it seems as if they themselves are the ones that are reaping the benefits from downtown. And of course, it is in their best interest for the city to keep on investing because, well, their property values go up, their businesses get a little boom. But when we look at the big picture, downtown is dead. The city of Brownsville has been growing little by little towards the north. Madeira, the Madeira project, which the city recently annexed, it is, I think that someone stated, oh, it's in Central Brownsville. And I was like, Central Brownsville. Central Brownsville to me is like, what is Central Brownsville? Paredes, Ruben Torres. To me, that's Central Brownsville. But Madeira, we see how everything is going towards North Brownsville. And many anticipate that in 20 or 30 years, we're going to be at Los Fresnos' doorstep. We're going to be knocking on their doorstep. To me, downtown is dead. Downtown only benefits the few, the elite, individuals that have invested, that have received monies. Good morning, Martinez. Lovely rain. We got it early this morning. Yes, we did. I woke up to I woke up to it, and again, I love the rain personally. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I woke up to it. To me, it puts me to sleep. If you do watch those ASMR videos, to me that's what it does. It puts me to sleep. I'm not a fan of Calvin, but I think he's better than Trey. Trey was in it just for himself. My predecessor was very vocal about our local elected officials signing up for grants, signing up for these loans that would ultimately be, they wouldn't have to pay these loans back. And, we could talk about the Coca-Cola building. We know who owns that. It seems as if it's the politicos and the politicos' friends that are the ones that are, good morning, B. Hope you have a great day. Stay dry. Thank you for tuning in. It seems as if, and look, it's no secret. What I'm saying is something that has been talked about for many, many years. The local elected officials are the ones that are receiving these grants from BCIC and GBIC. It seems as if they're just exchanging money from one hand to the next, and that's our reality. But people have stated to me and said, "Well, why don't you invest? Why don't people invest?" The idea should be that we should encourage individuals to invest, but it's only that little clique, it's only that little group that keeps on getting these grants and getting these monies, because again, they're historic buildings, so they don't pay taxes. They put a historical marker on them. Their property value increases, and if it belly ups, hey, they could always sell for quite a penny. Good morning, Frankie. I'm glad you decided to be on at 9 a.m. moving forward. Next time I want to see your uncle's mural. The only thing downtown has and brings money is in Charo days. Yeah, that's correct, but to a certain extent. When we think about downtown Brownsville, I think about the early 90s, and I think about my grandmother. She used to work at Melrose. She used to work at Sanchu. And I remember going and seeing it busy, and downtown Brownsville, the large majority of the clientele of the economy was from Matamoros. I remember going to the ropa usadas and buying clothes, buying ties. I remember that growing up, and me, I had the luxury. I had the luxury of growing up downtown. My family, my grandfather, he has a building, a plaza, going on 40 years. I want to say they've had it forever, and I grew up in offices. I grew up in an office. I think that's why I'm a nerd. I'm not very. I wish I was able to build stuff with my hands. I wish. Hopefully, I'll be able to retire in the next 10 years. And I could learn a trade such as plumbing and electric work and construction. But I grew up downtown, and I saw how the economy was thriving. Now, we're facing different times now. And what we have seen from the city of Brownsville has been that we're going away. We're going away from the ropa usadas, because at the end of the day, those types of businesses, they're kind of like nickel and dime, and these entities, these new business owners, entrepreneurs, well, they don't want to be next to a changarro, as we say. When you think about places like Chimoli, which is very good. If you haven't gone, make sure you go. The ramen place. We have started to see how little by little we're getting away from the ropa usadas, from the little, mom and pop stores that cater to the local economy. Payless is gone. Now it's the Samana building. So now the local politicians, what they're focusing on is trying to revitalize an area that's not going to be revitalized. When we think about the individuals that live in the woods, that live on Alton Glore, that live in the country club, do you think they want to go downtown? And the nightlife in downtown, it's nice. I've been there myself, and I'm not going to say, I'd never go, because I have gone. I have gone before. But when we really think about it, these people in Rancho and Olmito, they're not driving down. They're not driving down to downtown Brownsville. Why? Because of, well, it's not safe. Um, I remember when I used to go, they were there is homelessness. There's still prostitution out there. Man, I see it during the day. I used to go to Oyster Bar downtown. That's my favorite place, Oyster Bar. Oyster Bar downtown in Marisol de la Rosa, of course. But the prostitutes, the beautiful women or men, they're there during the day. So when we really think about it, do you think people in Olmito, people in Alton Glore, Morrison, Country Club, you think they want to drive down to Brownsville? Now, I'm not hating. I think that I love Ropa Usada, and that's slowly fading away, little by little. But there are some stores, but I think they're being pushed out. But downtown Brownsville is dying, and I understand. Going back, a city needs an identity. San Antonio, the Riverwalk. That is where all the tourists go. Bourbon Street, Austin, 6th Street. But the city of Brownsville kind of, and I'm not going to hate, I think they've done a decent job of trying to market, of trying to promote downtown. They have First Fridays where they pretty much block off, certain streets. They have bands. And I do see people going. But for the most part, the direction Brownsville is going is to the north. Madeira projects. At first, I was hesitant about Madeira because when I heard about Madeira, I heard about the arena, and to me personally, I don't think, and this is the Madeira project. If I can expand it, the Madeira project currently was recently was everything is everywhere. The Madeira project is currently in North Brownsville, like if you're hitting Olmito, and they will be having residential properties along with commercial / plaza / restaurants, and they're creating their own little hub, so to speak. And that is the direction that the city of Brownsville is going. And at first, I was kind of hesitant about this project because they were selling it with the idea of having an arena next to it. And I'm very hesitant about an arena because San Benito's building an arena. BISD, in my opinion, deserves an auditorium. So if the county, which I am more than sure that this issue will be brought up once again for the voters, the issue that I had was with the arena. But now looking at it, now I think it's a great development project. But downtown Brownsville is dead. What we have seen has been that they're trying to convert the Jardín building. The Jardín building is currently under renovation, and this is something that Mayor Cowan spoke about yesterday at the State of the City. That the city through grants, if I'm not mistaken, let me check my notes. Through grants, if I'm not mistaken, did receive monies to renovate. The only thing about this is that it's going to be housing, Section 8. Now, when we really think about it, you think rich folks want to be around housing? And look, before my phone blows up, when we think about it, who's going to be living in these places? Is it going to be the people that have money, the people that have jobs, that have careers? That no, it's going to be individuals that possibly don't have the means. How is the crime going to be downtown? Now, I anticipate the El Jardín building being something wow, that they're going to renovate it to first class, a first class hotel, a first class building. But when we really think about it, it's going to be housing. Who wants to live there? Also, the Samano building, what used to be the old Payless, and it's a historic building that is also going under a $12 million renovation, and they will be having a grocery store. But the crazy thing about this is, and this $12 million that the Samano building got was from CDCB, Come Dream, Come Build. Again, these entities give monies, large sums of money, to certain groups of people. Again, I'm not knocking the hustle. I'm all, man, I want to be a shark. I want to be individuals that are hustling. My goal is to be flipping houses. My goal is to be a landlord, hopefully in the near future. But these guys, man, they do a very good job of buying buildings on the cheap. And again, as my good friend once said, do you think rich people use their money? Heck no. Rich people don't use their money. Rich people use your money, the taxpayer money. That's the reality. And again, I'm not knocking the hustle, man. If you got the connect, why not use it? So the Payless building is going under a $12 million renovation that they're receiving a grant from Come Dream, Come Build, CDCB. What kind of got me thinking was Mayor Cowan stated that the Samano building will be used as a homeless / substance abuse assistance. Now, again, are we trying to clean up the image of downtown? Again, I'm talking about prostitution. I'm talking about crime. And remember, there were some assaults. And I know the city invested in cameras and extra manpower. I've seen police on bikes. But the reality is, it's still out there. But when I think about homelessness, like a homeless shelter and a substance abuse facility, I'm thinking, man, well, that's not appealing. At least to me, right? Or am I tripping? Speaking of these little groups, did you see that photo, Roy, Brian, and Barraza dining out at Toscafino? It seems like that's always how it goes. Birds of a feather flock together. I did see the photo. There have been individuals. Susan Rubalcaba has been very vocal, especially towards Miss Barraza in her quest to be on the city council. And the interesting thing that Susan pointed out was her expenses, or her campaign expense. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe she did spend a couple hundred, if not $1,000, at Toscafino. And I'm thinking, man, who are you feeding? So that kind of comes into question and saying, well, if you're doing this right now when you're not on the on the table, what's going to happen? What's going to happen whenever, let's say, you do win? Amazon destroyed downtown Seattle. Research it. Seattle also deals, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tucker. Seattle has a big drug problem, and the city of Brownsville. Let's be frank. The city of Brownsville does too. We only hear about cocaine and probably marijuana here in the city of Brownsville. But if you don't know, there's a big crack, there's a big heroin, and now more than ever, there's a big meth problem here in the city of Brownsville. And I have known individuals that not consume, but I guess they're around it. And one time they said, "Oh, tengo chiva," and I was like, "Oh, ¿tienes ganado?" ¿Tienes ganado? He looked at me, "No me menso chiva," and I was like, "Chiva? What the hell is chiva?" But downtown Seattle does have a big drug issue. The city of Brownsville does have a big drug issue as well. My understanding is a lot of downtown buildings are not up to code. That's why they're closed. I remember the Roposada stores. One store had big piles of clothes on the floor. We used to walk and jump on top of the pile. Yes, I have an idea. Because I remember in the back when the trailers would bring the boxes or the bags, they would just get them off the truck and just put them there. So yeah, I remember walking into the ropa usadas and seeing like the bags. They would just open them and just start. Hey, what do you want? What do you want? So I have seen a lot of buildings closed, but is this like a nefarious? Is nefarious a good word? Is this the city making sure that they're making the ropa usada business owners life difficult? Because if you can't open your doors, if you're not making money, sooner or later you're gonna sell, right? Is the city of Brownsville doing this on purpose? Everything is everywhere. Oh, in regards to drugs, prostitution, yeah, you're right. You're right. It is everywhere. It is accessible. It's not just downtown Brownsville. You're absolutely correct. I stand corrected. But don't you think that the city of Brownsville that has this vision where they want all these new posh restaurants and boutiques and things like that? And again, I'm all supportive of these establishments. I personally, and I'll admit, I personally have gone to Morning Glory. My friend was saying yesterday, I'm not gonna go to Morning Glory and spend $20-$30 on a plate. I'm not gonna go to a coffee shop and spend $10 on coffee. Are you crazy? Which makes sense. And for the average consumer, that's not feasible. But again, they're not targeting the raza. They're targeting the Fufis, the Gucci's. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. But the direction that the city of Brownsville has taken, and look, it's a difficult spot because what else do they do? But in my opinion, the city of Brownsville, downtown Brownsville is dead. There is no growth. A great point that my friend stated was that look at UTRGV. Why hasn't UTRGV invested more in Brownsville? Why are they throwing all their money towards Edinburgh, towards McAllen? And when you think about it, people with deep pockets, rich people, when they make an investment, I just go downtown and take a cruise. Yeah, me too. My uncle's office was downtown. Is downtown. My uncle's office is downtown, and was during lunch. He'd always be like, "Hey, come over, let's go eat." And we'd always go in his scooters, and we'd go cruising downtown. We go to Main Street Deli, and other establishments. So me too. I haven't gone in a while. I have to buy my own scooter. I'm in the process of that. The scooter that I want is like $800. He had like 4 of them. Crazy, right? What was I going at? Kind of forgot. Oh yes, UTRGV. UTRGV. People with deep pockets. You think they just throw money? No. They research. They send out people. My friend, and I'm very proud of my friend, his father is about to open up a second coffee shop. A human being. I mean, a human being. If you haven't gone, make sure you go on Alton Galore. They're about to break ground on their second establishment. It will be located close to Boca Chica Four Corners. Like if you're going towards the airport, right before the pediatric center on your left. If you're going towards the airport, passing Four Corners, it's on your left. They're going to be breaking ground soon. I'm very fond of my friend and his father. They're very they always think business, business, business. How am I going to turn this buck into two? And what the little that I hear from my friend, he told me that his father actually went out to Alton Glore before they built, and he was counting the cars with a clicker. He wanted to know, what's the traffic? How much money could I possibly get? Is it worth me investing in this area? That is what smart, intelligent investors do, right? They study the market. They see what's the trend. Where is the city growing? Is there potential for growth? Am I going to make money, or am I just going to throw it down a pit? These people are very intelligent, and they have to do their studies before they invest. Same thing with UTRGV. Why do we think, and that's the trend that we've been seeing currently right now, Brownsville residents, Brownsville students are having to go to Edinburgh, not just for graduation, but for some classes. And the city of Brownsville has seen that the trend is going that way. They recently got into an MOU where they're trying to bring it back to Brownsville. But the trend is leaving Brownsville. Why? Because the deep pockets of the University of Texas, they're not going to invest in Brownsville. They're not going to invest in downtown. Why? Because it's dead. DED, dead. And that is the reality. And I say this with all due respect. The only ones benefiting from Brownsville are the politicians, are those that get these grants, are those individuals, these friends, these groups that keep on being high on the hog. El Jardín Hotel, the thing about housing is a business. The landlord pays no to little property taxes, and the rent is paid a little from the tenant, and the rest is paid by the government subsidies. The landlord is making money. Absolutely, Gene. It doesn't benefit downtown because, again, are there going to be vagrants? And look, I say this with all due respect. I grew up in apartment complexes. I grew up on food stamps. But in reality, that's what El Jardín Hotel is going to be. It's going to be Section 8. It's going to be housing. What's the image that downtown Brownsville is going to become? You think they're going to be, great tenants, and they're not going to cause no harm, and they're not going to go steal, and they're not going to go, again, I say this with all humility, but that's our reality. And rich people don't want to be next to Section 8. What? You're going to build what? Why don't we see Section 8? Why don't we see housing next to Madeira? Because rich people don't want to deal with that. So my question is, why would the city of Brownsville focus on creating housing projects? Gene said it best. The landlord is the one that's making the money. They're trying to modernize it so they can raise the value of their properties. People that rent the little houses will soon not be able to afford their rent. Once they leave, they will tear them down and place new ones. And you're absolutely correct. It's as we spoke about yesterday, SpaceX, gentrification. The properties next to mine are increasing in value, which ultimately leads my little home to increase in value. If I'm on a fixed income, Sam, I'm not going to be able to pay. Sooner or later, I'm going to be forced out, or I'm going to be forced to sell, one or the other. And I understand, again, the city of Brownsville, they have to. I think it's they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. Because, well, they have to make an investment. They have to do something to attract, to be, a city that has an identity. I think we understand that, and we could agree on that, right? But I don't know. This housing project kind of got me thinking. The heart of Brownsville will soon be at Madeira. It seems that way. Again, at first I was reluctant to be supportive of that, but that's the direction in which we're going. Brownsville is growing to the north. We're growing towards Olmito, Rancho Viejo, Los Fresnos. So, and I'm not sure if you saw somebody posted or somebody commented that Madeira is now considered central Brownsville, so to speak. Dealing with drainage and flooding would be a good start, and then and only then will they come and invest in Brownsville. That's an interesting point, Lopez, because Brownsville is a fishbowl. Right now, I just left Minnesota, and it was pretty flooded, and it didn't rain that much. It rained a little bit. I don't know. It rained a good amount. I'm not gonna lie. It did rain a good amount. But for any little drop, por cualquier gotita, Boca Chica, it's bad. I think about where Bank of America, where Tropical Smoothie, the gas station, RJ's Barbecue, that area, man, avoid it. Avoid Boca Chica when it floods. Yesterday, Commissioner de los Santos did speak about drainage, and he did say that they were working continuously to try to fix this issue, because it's an issue that the city of Brownsville has been dealing with for many, many years. It seems as if, but what can be done? When they were building the median, I thought that they were trying to build some sort of drainage system on Boca Chica, because Boca Chica, man, again, if it rains down in Boca Chica, is bad. But that's something that Commissioner de los Santos did state yesterday at the state of the city, that they were investing in the roads and the infrastructure, and trying to fix the drainage issue and the flooding issue. But it's something that we haven't seen as of late. Gentrification of Brownsville, that's where we're going. Downtown will eventually be turned into a NOLA. Their drainage and streets are pretty bad. And yes, I went this past September. My friend had a bachelor party, and we went to NOLA. I went for my bachelor party, and it smelled horrible back then. And when I went this past September, it smelled horrible. Ever since Katrina, the damage that Katrina, and I don't know how many feet the water rose to, but it was something like 10 feet, 20 feet, something very serious. That I spoke to some locals, and I said, man, what's that smell? Why does it always smell bad? He's like, oh, man. But it's funny how they talk like Cajun. Oh, He's like, oh, man. He's like, ever since Katrina, man, it's been like this. And it got me thinking, like, really? So I went, I got married back in 2012. I went and it smelled bad. I went 13 years later, this past September, and it smelled bad. The city of Brownsville, downtown Brownsville, does also flood. So we did see our commissioners yesterday at the State of the City talk about that they're fixing the roads, they're working on our infrastructure, they want to focus on flooding. But in reality, I really didn't see anything to where. I'll be right back. I didn't see anything to where we were, gonna be proud of our city. They did speak about Highway 77, of the investment that has been made, which is currently still in the works. As anyone that has traveled down that street, it desperately needed renovation. The streets were horrible. So little by little, we will be seeing some change in that area. Flooding can be avoided if city leaders would be proactive and prepare days before the storm. Doesn't take much to drive around flood-prone areas to see if there's any obstructions or on in drains. I think it's more to deal with that. I think it's more we have to we have to invest in proper drainage, because all of Boca Chica is horrible. International is horrible. Price Road is horrible. Was it Morrison? There is an area in Country Club. Country Club también. Country Club is horrible. But it seems as if, and the city of Brownsville has a budget of 130, 132, let's say 130 million dollars. And there are grants out there. Maybe we can start asking our local congressmen, our local representatives, to senators to help us with this. But it seems as if that isn't a pressing issue. The pressing issues are more, let's invest in downtown, let's invest in this and that, so to speak. Ruben Torres floods badly. Yes, Ruben Torres as well. Seems all of Brownsville. What happened to the Brownsville River Center? The Brownsville River Center in downtown Brownsville, I think it never got off its feet. This was an idea that the city of Brownsville would become kind of like San Antonio, where they would have a river walk. And I remember I can close my eyes and visualize the images, the portraits that they presented to the city. And, it looked nice, but I go to the same thing. Who's going to go downtown? Lately I have seen Lizzie B. She loves to go to First Fridays. She's always trying to get me going. Come on. I'm like, I've only gone to like one or two downtown Brownsvilles. She likes to go, but I don't think there's a large amount of people that will go downtown. And don't get me wrong, I have seen pictures of First Fridays whenever they block off the streets, and they had what's that? Spasmatics? Aren't they gonna play in April? Maybe that will get packed. That probably will get packed. But the Brownsville River Center, it never got off its feet. I think that individuals, they wanted to focus more on Adams, on the downtown city area before they even tried. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the River Center was going to be between Amigoland Mall, between the two bridges, close to Danny's, the Danny's restaurant. I think that was the idea. I could be wrong. Los Ebanos Boulevard by the post office gets very flooded. Man, it seems as if all of Brownsville gets flooded. In my opinion, one solution to bring life to downtown is to move some of the essential offices downtown. Social Security, DMV, tax office, etc., etc. Force people to go downtown for services that they need. They will increase foot traffic for Brownsville and Matamoros residents. People might even eat and shop while they're there. One thing that my friend did state was that she was upset that the city, what is it? Is it 14th Street? Yes, 14th Street. She told me how 14th Street at one time was, man, it was the place. The only thing I think about 14th Street is Charlie's. I think Charlie's Bar is a very famous bar. My cousin Angel's Auto Sales is currently right now on 14th Street. But back in the day, you're talking about 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, possibly even the 90s. 14th Street was everything. It was the nightlife. It was popping. What the city did was shut that off. If I can take you on a little trip, close your eyes, go down 14th Street. Make 14th Street great again. Well, what they did was they built the bus stop. And if you're going on 14th Street, you can't go anymore because they build the bus stop. So they pretty much made people not go down there anymore. That's something that my friend was stating. She's like, they made a huge mistake. Why would they do that? Now 14th Street is non-existent. Brownsville is rich with funding, but it's all stolen. Throwing money at it will only divide the city further apart. Well, that's where we're at, Lopez. The only ones that benefit from it are the politicos, are their friends. And the biggest problems, and my beloved predecessor was very vocal about this. The biggest issue that the city of Brownsville has are these GBICs, BCICs, because they become so powerful that there's no oversight. Again, we see the former mayor. He applied and almost got $200,000 to renovate his place. We've seen how people from Matamoros, they got grants to pay rent. Now that's where Brownsville Fiber is at. Again, I'm not knocking the hustle. Sharks gonna be sharks. But that is the biggest problem that the city of Brownsville has been facing and will be facing. GBIC, BCIC, even Come Dream, Come Build. That is the biggest issue that the city of Brownsville has because there is no oversight. And the only ones benefiting from it are the politicos, are the elite. That's the only people that are benefiting from it. Roy hasn't done anything for the district. Went down Morrison Street, hasn't been replaced. Morrison also floods. Yes, Morrison does flood. So we'll see. He's running for the at-large position, which gives him more leeway. See how he does. Make 14th Street great again. Make 14th Street great again. We should. But nonetheless, other issues, other topics that were discussed by Mayor Cowan. He did state that Brownsville is the fastest growing for job growth with 4.3%. There was an increase of 6.7% of the household income. He talked about SpaceX again, but again, we can't take credit for SpaceX. Brownsville had nothing to do with SpaceX. That's just a multi-billionaire saying, it's like how Sam said, the colonizer and we're the Indians. So we have no way of hanging our hat and saying, oh, that's us. No, that's all Elon Musk. We do benefit from tourism. I think he stated that because of this $3 billion investment from SpaceX, that the city of Brownsville back in 2024 benefited from $90 million, $100 million from investment. So again, we can't hang our hat on SpaceX, but we do reap the benefits from it. The port LNG, they are responsible for creating 2,000 jobs, and potentially in the future there will be a growth of 6,000 jobs. The Port of Brownsville, that this past year, they did see $12 billion in economic activity. The airport, not too fond of our international airport. The biggest thing was Idos Airlines, and I did post a picture of Mayor Cowan traveling to Monterrey, where they have direct flights from Brownsville to Monterrey for less than $100 each. But if you want to go packed in a little small plane, go ahead. The zoo also, they purchased the zoo Cummings. They did purchase Cummings for $16 million, which to me is lowball. The adequate price to me would be anywhere from the range of 25 to 27 million. Man, I would even ask for 30. Because again, when we really think about it, that's a landmark area, and that's perfect. And again, who would benefit from it? The city, the zoo. So the school district, they should have played hardball and said, hey, we know you want this. We know you need this. And they did talk about how they were going to be expanding the zoo because we have over 400,000 visitors annually. And the zoo, as we can all imagine, it is the largest attraction in the local area. They will be doubling the size of the zoo. They stated that there will be a zip line going across the zoo, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to create a parking garage. The hotel and restaurant will be will be also built in the area. That was the gist of it. Again, nothing sexy, nothing to say, wow, Brownsville is thriving. Brownsville is the city to live in. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear. Unfortunately, I didn't get that sentiment from the state of the city. Are we getting that Gladys Porter Zoo Hotel after all, or nah? Yes. Mayor Cowan did state that they will be making that investment in the very near future. That a hotel, a restaurant, and a parking garage will be built there. I'm not very fond of that. I don't. Who's going to stay there? Again, we do have 400,000 people annually coming to the zoo, but it's people from the Rio Grande Valley. You think they're going to want to spend $100, $200? Well, let's say 100. Let's cut it in the middle. $120 a night to stay in Brownsville? I don't think so. But that's just my opinion. Would you stay at the hotel to be close to the zoo? It probably won't be for us, obviously. It'll be for the outside world. And again, the closest zoo is San Antonio. And I could understand maybe people from Corpus. Maybe no, people from Laredo go to San Antonio because it's closer, right? Laredo to San Antonio is what, 2 hours? I don't see it. I don't see how a hotel would thrive. I understand if you have events, if you have conferences, if you have things, maybe, but I don't think it's going to be bumping. That's me personally. But what do y'all think? So yesterday, the state of the city, Mayor Cowan did state how the city, everything is hunky-dory, great things are happening in the city of Brownsville. I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I didn't get that vibe. I didn't get that, Brownsville is popping. Brownsville is growing. Yeah, we're growing. Thanks a lot to SpaceX. Madeira has a lot to do with it. Nobody travels far to check out the zoo, so much less in a hotel in that area. And that's the thing. We don't have anything. We don't have anything that would attract. What can we say? Oh, we got these skinny lions. Mayor Cowan did state that we're going to get some African zoos, some African, West African gorillas. Like, well, I know a lot of gorillas here in the city of Brownsville. We don't have to go. We don't have to go get them in Africa. But again, I don't see it. I don't think people are going to travel to Brownsville and say, "Oh, well, let's stay in Brownsville. Let's stay at the hotel." Maybe, maybe the honeymoon stage, we'll see it popping. People will want to stay just to see what the big deal is. Maybe I could see that. But for the long haul, I don't see how this investment is going to be worthwhile. But again, that's just me. Brownsville needs serious engineers elected to positions of power to fix city problems. We need all the help we can get. They need to do actual market research before making large decisions. Putting the cart before the horse? We don't think like that. We think, let's build. We'll worry about it later. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. It is Thursday, March 27th, 9:59 a.m. My name is Frankie. This is Live with Frankie Olivo. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Sam for mayor. Sam! Let's go, Sam. 20 years from now, bro. Get with the program. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Once again, Live with Frankie will be coming on Monday through Friday, every day, 9 a.m. We'll be discussing the important issues that are affecting our city because we love our community. We want to promote it as much as possible. We're going to do our best to keep our elected officials accountable. We understand that for every rock that we throw, 10 will come our way, but that's the name of the game. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Hope to see you here tomorrow morning. God bless.